we're live. All right, Mike. So it's been an adventurous couple of weeks for the both of us. I'm down North Carolina. I've made a couple trips down here, and you just got back from the fall Toypalloza show in Pittsburgh, and I am dying to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I'd had this one circled for a while, and we were hoping that all three of us could go, me, you, and Eli, but that didn't work out.
No work calls.
It always does. But earlier in the week, the transmission in my truck went out, so I had to buy a new truck. It just totally zapped my Joe fund, right? But Eli has been refereeing, and he was all geared up to go and make some big purchases. We got down there at about 9 o'clock, 9:15. We were the first people in line. We were ready to go, bought our tickets. And so, we're inside, and you can just see, because they have the doors open, and a lot of Box Joe stuff, all kinds of toys. Some of the bigger play sets for Thundercats and Star Wars, and I saw some Indiana Jones. I even saw the Rambo play set. So we're just kind of hanging out. We ended up being to be the second folks in line.
So how does that happen? If you bought your tickets first, and you were there first, but you wound up second?
Yeah. I don't know. These things happen. And the chances are, I heard the folks talking in front of us. They weren't there to buy Joe's. So I didn't feel like there was any need for me to have to whip on them to get in front of them.
It would have been awesome if you got in a fight at 9 o'clock in the morning at a toy show.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be allowed to go to anymore. The unfortunate part is, and I say this is unfortunate, but if I'm a vendor and, load in is in the morning, I probably wouldn't feel this way. They waited right up until 10 o'clock. So, by the time 10 quarter till runs around, all the emergency doors are shut. Everything looks like it's locked down. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to let us in early. But they didn't. They made us wait till 10 o'clock exactly. So, as soon as we get in there, me and Eli have kind of scoped out a couple guys on Instagram that we're looking for.
Let me interrupt you real quick, though. So the whole time you're in line, I'm on every piece of social media trying to find stuff. All these vendors are posting their stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what's there and what vendors I need to tell you to go for, because I couldn't make this show, so I sent you with some money. Because really what I was hoping you picked up for me was Python Patrol.
So to talk about that, I saw 3 Python Patrol guys there. I saw 2 Vipers and an officer. The one Viper was, I'd say, okay, right? So maybe if you were only buying one, you wouldn't pick him up. But if you were army building, he was definitely one you'd want. But he was loose, no accessories. So I didn't feel like you were probably a buyer on that, because we had gotten several incomplete guys lately, and our list for going through the weapons bins is growing. And,
yeah, it's to the point now where it's not like sorting through the weapons bin. It's just I need to buy the entire weapons bin. That's how I feel.
Oh, yeah, because I can't even remember everything I need anymore.
Right now.
For me, right now, I'm kind of done. If I have a desire to buy anybody and complete them, it would have to be a real special deal for me to pick them up, just because I think I got about 10 guys I'm looking for different, things for. And, Shockwave is, we kind of talked about that last episode. I know what I need for him because he has some very distinct weapons and they're distinct colors, but a lot of the other guys, it just all runs together. So a couple of things we're looking for while we're there. Alpine is a guy that Eli really wants. And you've said before, you're looking for, Steel Brigade if I find something mint, and Python Patrol. One of the other
But what are you looking? I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but what are you looking for down there?
I'm just looking for really good deals because I bought a truck. I adulted earlier in the week. I think that's what millennials call it, right? Adulting. Yeah. So I'm just like, we'll see what I come across. I'm not looking for anything. Going into this show, you and I had talked about it, and I said I was going to knock out a couple heavy hitters, right? So I was looking for a complete Zartan, and maybe a complete Metalhead, because finding him with all of his, the pegs, that can be a...
Right, and then it's in gray weirdly.
Yeah. So I was hoping to maybe get a couple of those type of figures. Is kind of what I had hoped for going in, and then I became a deal hunter as life happened. But so one of the vendors though earlier in the week had posted that he had some Night Force guys, and he also had Tiger Force Outback, which me and Eli
and
knew.
Psych Out, right?
Yes, and Psych Out. Yeah, Tiger Force Psych Out. And Eli was hoping to get Tiger Force Psych Out because he thought maybe that guy would be in his price range. And we both just wanted to see, in person, Tiger Force Outback. So when we walk in, though, there's so many Joe vendors there. And the highlight of this show, or the strength of this show, was boxed vehicles. Because, I feel like every toy show I've been to, you could say there was, everyone has different strengths, right?
Right.
Joe Fest, it just had everything, right? You couldn't say it had a strength other than just tons of G.I. Joes everywhere. Great value. Just, what would you say Hershey's kind of highlight was, or what their strength was?
I would say mint figures, rare mint figures was the highlight of that show.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because there's 2-3 vendors that had very, very, very nice guys. And then this one, boxed vehicles, primarily boxed vehicles. Because they were kind of everywhere. And, for you and I, we don't put a lot of, our collecting doesn't go to boxed.
Right.
We're looking for loose things, but I love seeing them, right? I love walking around the show and seeing the art, and it's just cool because you can always kind of go back and remember what it was like to see those on the shelves. So when we walk in, we're like, okay, we want to find this vendor, but then we just get distracted, right? We're chasing after the big box star in a place called Eterna Dreams, and he brought just a stunning display. He set up a flag. He had a sealed content mobile command center. I mean,
what was he asking for that?
I didn't even look, Joe. I was bargain hunting.
Oh man, I would have been really thinking about making a stab at that at the right price.
Well, you didn't buy a truck earlier in the week, Joe.
No, I didn't.
So it was just so fun to see that stuff. So after me and Eli kind of are getting distracted by the shiny objects, Eli's like, I want to find that guy. So we kind of start making a circle, kind of with purpose, and we find him. One of the first things we see, behind glass, and me and Eli talked about it, like we weren't touching him. We didn't want to drop him and nick him or anything. But he had a beautiful Tiger Force Outback. So it was cool to look at him. But he had a second one with a broken crotch. Other than the broken crotch, it was a super nice figure. Like, it's just for a minute, I kind of was like, this might be my chance. But then me and Eli talked about it. We're like, no. So we ended up passing. But what he did have, Night Force Outback, and again, really affordable price, but he had a broken crotch too. And so Eli's a big Outback fan, and so he was waffling on that. Then he saw Psych Out Night Force, and he is in really, really nice shape. No accessories, but Eli picked him up for $20.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was a great deal, especially for what Eli does with his toy photography. He's not super worried about complete right now. So great pickup for him, and excited because he got to knock out something that's kind of rare and a little bit on the high end sometimes. So
yeah, no, super cool. I look forward to seeing what he does with that.
One of the other things we had seen, it was at Time Capsule Toys. And that was, there were 2 Still Brigades. Is that right, Joe? Was it Time Capsule Toys?
You know what? I'm really not sure.
I'm pretty sure that's where it was.
Because I definitely sent you a picture, sealed contents or sealed in bag, and I wanted you to check that out.
Yeah, and it was nice. So I looked at it. It looked like what it was advertised as, right? Sealed contents from back in the day. But just where the market prices them right now. Called you on it, and you were kind of out.
Yeah. So let's just talk about that for a second, because Still Brigade has just skyrocketed since we started doing this over the past year. What do you think's causing that?
Well, it has to be the popularity of this show. I mean, I can't think of anything else that's driving it up.
Everyone is scared that I'm gonna get out there and buy them all.
Well, so that was my first thought, but let's suppose that's not it. I mean, that's what it is, but let's just pretend for a minute that it's not, right? I think that you don't think about Still Brigade right away. But as the collectors build and they build their collections and they think back on their memories, those Still Brigade memories start coming back, and then it builds interest in that character. What do you think?
I think it's the combination of new collectors. It's such a cool figure. Then on top of that, I think the Valaverse, the fact that they're coming out with a new Steel Brigade has just built even more interest in it. And so I think the combination of the two, maybe that's the reason that they're just getting more expensive and harder to find.
Yeah, and they definitely are. I mean, I would say just since March, they've probably tripled.
I would say doubled.
Those were the only two that actually was at the show, but there was something else, Steel Brigade, that we came across.
Oh, I've been waiting for a few days to talk to you about this.
Joe sends me a text. Well, let me start over. So Timber Toys, he's a seller on eBay. He lives in the Pittsburgh area, and he doesn't do toy shows. He doesn't have a brick and mortar building, but he comes to the Toypalooza toy show just because it's close and it's very popular, and there's a lot of collectors that go. And he said he did really well there. So first time he came was back in the spring, and then he came to this one, and he said he wants to come again. But he had a Steel Brigade file card. And I am not up on those, but one of the places me and Eli went after we picked up his psych out is, we stopped over at his booth. But while I'm there, I see the file card. And I am not up on it, but I was like, hey, man, what are you asking for that? And he gives me the price. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out on that, right? And there's a patch that comes with it, and the patch is in relatively good shape. And me and Eli kind of go about our day just checking out some more guys. But then you text me back, and you're like, hey, you see this on Instagram, or I think you saw it on Instagram. I'm not sure.
I saw it while you were in line. I saw it on Facebook Live. So the people who were putting on the show were just walking around talking to different vendors, and at the very last one, just before they opened the gates to let you guys in, he stopped a guy and he pulled it up and showed it, and I was just mind blown. And so I immediately told you about it, like, hey, if you see this, because I knew I didn't send enough money for you to pick that up. But I was just like, hey, it's there, keep an eye out for it. So I really didn't think, you were going to pick it up by any means. But I was just excited it was there, and at least wanted you to get eyes on it and find out what the price was.
And then when I talked to you real quick, Eli was at another booth checking them, and I could hear the excitement over what they were asking. I was like, oh, well, I obviously don't know what this is, right? Like I'm not tracking how cool it is, but because you're excited, I grab Eli and I'm like, hey, we need to go, check this out, because this might be, your chance to get this. So I get back over there and I start looking at it for like condition, and the corners aren't frayed. It is 30-ish years old, but overall the color's really nice. There's no hard creases in it. Like, this was stored flat somewhere and out of direct sunlight.
Listen, I was blown away when you sent me the picture, because I only saw it briefly held up on Facebook. So when you sent me the picture, is it perforated edges? I'm not sure. I don't think that's it. Yes. And they're still all there when I used to run it, through the printer in the old days. That was mind boggling to me. It didn't look like it had the signature on it either. And it had a great name, Skyhawk. So, yes. Yeah, and I didn't read too much more of it because I just wanted to see it in person, or at least talk to you about it. I was so excited. So you tell me about the price, and I tell you, well, you go do the show. You go enjoy your show. If you got a couple extra bucks at the end of the show, stop back and see if he still has it.
But that can't happen. It's not going to happen. So the one thing about Toypalooza is, it's in a pretty nice sized city in Pittsburgh, and it fills up. When we went there back in the spring, we were there about 11:30, 12 o'clock. I went with my daughters. It just gets packed. So I know as the day goes on, 11 o'clock by this point, it's probably 10:40, and this place is still is already pretty crowded. The early bird was only a half hour. So I just kind of felt like, after talking to him and how prominently it was displayed at his booth, it wasn't sticking around, right? Like, it wasn't something that we could pass on. And if you go back to the last episode, we missed out on the flag, right?
We did. And you missed out on the Action Force bivouac.
And I missed out on the Action Force bivouac. And I thought about Paige, and I was like, you know what? We're just doing this. We're getting this done. We got to get it. I go back over. I start talking to him. Like I said, I like the guy a lot. He's real reasonable. He's just like, it's just, he's been selling on eBay for a long time. This is the first one he's ever had, ever. So he's not budging on price. But I could tell you were fine with that. You were good with where he was. So we pulled the trigger.
Dude, I can't thank you enough for picking that up for me. It's so ecstatic all week. And I made sure I didn't talk to you about it either because I wanted to wait till we tried to record the show.
Well, but now we still got some more shopping to do. And I got this highly valuable piece of paper.
How do you finagle your way through the crowd with that?
I hold it on both edges and I carry it away from my body and I move very slowly through the rest of the show. Because, I can't put a crease in it now, you know?
Right.
And then I think to myself, what am I even going to tell my wife when I get home with this thing?
Well, I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to tell my wife, too, when I pay you for it.
Yeah. Because I didn't know what. I'll be very glad when I no longer have it in my hands and you have it. And I'm super excited for you to read its traits, abilities, and personality. And I'm glad. Eli keeps telling me that he thinks you're going to frame it.
Oh, I am. I'm framing it without a doubt. Listen, I'm kind of an awful dad because I don't think I've framed the kids' school pictures for the past 2 years. But I'm going to definitely frame that with the first day I get it.
Yeah, but there's going to be more school pictures, right? This is one of a kind.
That's right.
They'll understand, I'm sure.
I did. I am so excited that you picked that up. I really, really appreciate it. And I know that probably put a damper on the rest of your show because I didn't send you with enough for it. But thank you.
No,
and I really do appreciate it, man.
It was fun to pick it up, man. I'd kind of, like I said, I wanted to pick out some sort of heavy hitter. Wasn't what I had in mind, but it's what came our way. Yeah, I was glad to do it, excited about it. So.
And it came with the patch, too. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah, it did. But what are you going to do with the patch?
Probably put it in the frame with it. I think that's probably what I'll do. Now, the patch isn't...
I was going to get it like an old school stonewashed jean jacket and throw it on the cuff or something.
Well, like I was just about to say, it's not in the best shape. I got to find one that's even in worse shape than that, and I definitely would put it on a jacket. And then I would just wear that jacket, all year round, no matter how hot or how cold it is outside.
Do that with like a size medium white t-shirt underneath?
I kind of look like the Fonz, but cooler.
Right. Cooler, for sure. So one of the last pickups that Eli had as we kind of made our rounds was he picked up the Commando team, and it was a 97 when G.I. Joe was re-released. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so he picked it up boxed, and what was kind of neat about it was, for Eli, is the packaging was starting to come apart, right? So it was a loose bubble, so they weren't really selling it at kind of like the sealed contents price. What I really liked about it, Joe, and I think you'll appreciate it, on the back, it has a Kenner emblem on the file card.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so in the trademark it is Hasbro Inc., but it was I guess it was released under the Kenner banner.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with why that was. We're gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, so there's a couple other things about this I wanted to share. Box art for this, has 85 Snake Eyes, but it actually comes with a repaint of Snake Eyes version 1. Then Storm Shadow is on the box as a Cobra. He has a Cobra emblem, and it's a version 1 repaint. But when you read the file card, this is when he's back with the Joe team. So there's a couple kind of I don't want to call them inconsistencies, but just some interesting things. But
there wasn't a team following the whole process through, obviously.
No, and there is mention on the packaging that Cobra had gone away for 3 years, 94, and but they were back and stronger than ever. So you could kind of see that they might have been considering doing some sort of relaunch, but for whatever reason it didn't happen fully. And just the paint on the guys is really cool, like this different schemes and the way they painted their accessories. Very, very cool stuff. But there's little things like the fact that they didn't paint their rivets. So their arms have these silver rivets in them. They have like a much different feel than the original ones. So it's a new type of plastic. And there's enough to it that are probably negatives that interest me. So I'm gonna educate myself on kind of what was going on during these years why the plastics feel a little different. Like I said, kudos on the paint jobs, and that they did a nice job on the detail of, the molds, but some interesting things to go along with it.
So did you get anything else for you?
I did. I picked up a loose Cobra Commander, version 1, and he had a bad rubber band. And so I was able to snag him at a bargain price. And we were getting ready to do the show. I picked him up and his rubber band broke. So I'm going to need to reband him. But he's a pretty good one. I'm pretty happy with that pickup.
Version 1?
No, he was not a straight arm. No. Okay. He was Mel away hooded Cobra Commander.
Okay. So version 2.
Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with him. His the dark blue color stayed pretty good on him. Some of the gold on his leg, it's a little bit nicked, but like you said, grabbed him at a bargain price, and I'm happy to have him. So I picked up one figure that I was happy.
Well, I feel bad now, man.
No, listen, it was awesome. I'm so glad that we grabbed this for your collection. And I'm so glad I was there because there were so many great vendors. Time Capsule Toys was there. They had a great spread.
Where are they out
of? Ohio. So I think somewhere in Ohio. No, somewhere between Columbus and Cleveland, like that kind of area, which is only about half the state. So
yeah, the northeastern Ohio.
Yeah, so like I said, they had nice spreads, and then Eterna Toys, Eterna Dreams also had a great selection, and then there was a lot of independent vendors there too. So it's a great show. If you're within 3 hours of Pittsburgh on March 8th, 2020, make sure you're there. It's a great show. I recommend being there for the early bird because the place gets packed. It's 9 to 10 next year, so it's a full hour for the early bird. I think the hour's a little better. You don't feel maybe as
definitely.
Much. So that was my show, Joe. You've kind of been traveling the state of North Carolina over the last few weeks. And you've hit up some nice shops. So what have you been up to?
Well, real quick, I just want to tell you thank you again. I mean, I really mean that. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to get back to PA and get that from you.
I can't wait till you have it. I feel a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to carry that around for the rest of the show. Did you go back to the car early and then come back in?
No, we just soldiered through. But when we went to Texas Roadhouse, it was quite an ordeal to find a place to put it in the shade. And then, make sure it wasn't getting bent and, visible. Because obviously, everybody walking by would realize what a valuable piece of art.
Now, did you tell your wife what you paid for it? So therefore, I have to tell my wife what I paid for it.
No, she only knows that you owe me half of what it. So she just knows the second half because you gave me about half. So you can cut it in half.
I just can't wait to see the look on Lisa's face because I am just going to tell her. But she's like, you paid that much for a piece of paper. Yes, I did, honey. And I'm glad I did.
All right, well, tell her on your way home from our house. Don't tell her like on your way here because I don't, you know what I mean? That's not a good way to start the weekend.
I'll just wait till she sees it.
Oh, yeah, because once she sees it, she'll totally understand. Yeah. She'd be like, oh, that makes super
She's like, you could have paid twice as much. It would have been fine.
Absolutely.
All right. 2 weeks ago, I was off work. I took leave for a week, and then the next 2 weeks I was down here in North Carolina. So that week that I was home, I really didn't have anything going on. I spent that entire week just like staring at eBay. And so after you stare at eBay for a week, you know what I mean? Like you're like, $150 for that figure really isn't that bad. It really starts to warp your brain.
It does.
I was really about to make some bad financial collecting decisions, but, fortunately I got back out on the road and I was able to get into some shops. And that brought me back down to earth. And I was like, yes, there are deals out there.
Yeah, we'll see how far down to earth your wife thinks you are when she finds out about this file card.
Yes, but she's got to realize, like, there are not a ton of those in existence, especially in the shape that one's in, And it has a cool name. Those edges is still on there. And I'm really looking forward to uploading that into the Still Brigade tracker. Dude, I'm ecstatic. And the other thing is Eli's always asking me, he's like, Uncle Joe, what's the name of your Still Brigade? What are you going to name him? And I was like, I don't know yet. Well, now he's got a name.
Oh, so this is it. This is Skyhawk. Your guy is Skyhawk.
Yeah, that's going to be it. Until I also just found this guy on Instagram, and he made like a reproduction one for his buddy, and it looks perfect. So I'm thinking about reaching out to him and then doing the one that I had as a kid in my head.
Okay. Now, do you remember what that was?
Well, did we ever talk about this on the show before?
No, but you said you were going to go under a hypnotist to figure it out, which was going to be just a really bad idea. But did you do it?
No.
Is that how you...
No, but it did cross my mind to do the hypnotism thing. But I just couldn't imagine sitting down and telling my wife, like, I'm really trying to unlock this memory from when I was a kid, and I think I need to go see this specialist. And she would be very concerned and be like, well, let's talk about it. And then I'd be like, well, it was what I was going to name a toy. And then I just can't have that conversation with her.
I wish you would.
If I do, I'll record it for you.
Yeah, everybody listening would love to know how that comes.
Back to my trip to North Carolina. My first stop was Blake's in Lexington, North Carolina. Blake's Toy Chest. And it's a small shop. The sign wasn't real visible because of the vehicle, so I wasn't even sure if I was in the right place. And I had to park a little down the street. So then I'm walking up, and I'm still not sure. And then I just see this brown box full of toys outside the door. And I was like, okay, this is a toy shop. I'm going to be all right. So you walk in there. It is just stuffed to the gills with toys. And he was getting ready for a toy show, so he had everything out. And then I asked him if they have any Joes. He tells me, yeah, in this room over on the side. And he's got a little room over there. I think it's split between He-Man and G.I. Joe. And you can see the pictures online that I posted. He had a really nice selection. What you didn't see in the picture, though, was the baskets of Joes. I mean, once you start digging through there was really, really some good ones in there.
So the baskets, were they complete figures or?
A little bit of everything. Some complete, some just random loose, some, just played with Joes. But you would come across some really, really nice ones. I mean, I walked in there planning on spending, just a few bucks and getting one figure. And I walked out of there with 5 and I had to use my debit card because I didn't have that much cash on me. So then I got a phone call from my wife.
Yeah, my wife got the texts from your wife as though I had done this or put you up to it.
So the first one that I picked up was 83 Cobra Commander swivel arm. This is one that I wasn't on my radar to buy because I bought it for you around Christmas time, but for your birthday, but it wasn't until June. So for 6 months, I had Cobra Commander. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really didn't need him, but he had a great deal on him. Cobra emblem is perfect on it, and his belt buckle was nice and red. I mean, the only paint that's missing is just a little bit on the bottom of his boots there. It's really almost not noticeable. And the other thing that's really nice about him is the elbows. The blue matches the arms real well. 'Cause sometimes in those, it's just a different plastic, so it just aged differently. And
right.
It would be like a real light or a real dark, like just doesn't match. But this one here matches extremely, extremely well. So it's like you just don't run across those every day. So I was not walking out without it.
Oh, no, Cobra Commander's one that if you come across them at a fair price, even or when I say fair, I mean just reasonable, you almost have to pick one up, even if you already got one.
Then the next one I came across was the Stinger driver. And then that's when I immediately text you.
Yeah, hoping that I would turn him down, right?
Well, you've been looking for him for a while. He's one of your favorites. So I know you recently picked up one and you weren't happy with him. So this one's darn near perfect. I knew you'd be happy with him, but I didn't know if you wanted to find your own out in the wild.
No, I was good just because I've been so frustrated by it. And coming across the good one, that was all that mattered to me.
Listen, you're not going to be frustrated with this one. I promise you. This one's on point. It really is.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him.
And I put a new O-ring and cleaned him up today, so he's basically like new.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing I'm kind of wondering is, like, do I keep the one I have? Because I have it displayed inside. The one I picked up, it has some yellowing and stuff. I have him in the Stinger. So I'm wondering, like, do I just keep him in the Stinger for display purposes and then leave him outside? Is probably what I'll do.
Yeah, just leave the one you have as the driver because he looks cool and you can't see the paint or anything on it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then you can proudly display this one. Then the next one I picked up was Python Patrol Televiper. This is something that just recently jumped up on my radar. The Python Patrol, we had them as the kid, and they're kind of goofy. They're a little different, you know what I mean? So they just really weren't up on my radar. But recently I was looking at them, I was like, you know what, those are pretty cool. And we didn't mention on the last show, you picked up Tiger Force Duke at the Hershey show. And you're going to start collecting those.
Yeah, one of those figures we talked about that I picked up, incomplete, but he was just mint. Like he was mint. He was as nice as a figure as you're going to find. And so I had to pull the trigger on him. But, now I've got to get his accessories. And then the same thing with some of the other guys I've been picking up lately. So
you're really disgruntled about these accessories right now.
I am. I'm kind of disgruntled with a lot of the things I've been purchasing lately. I'm just getting to be a bitter old man.
You're going to have to start running your purchases through me.
I know. Or relaxing before I buy. just take like one of those camping stools with me. And just say, hey, listen, I'm going to purchase some Joes off you, but I just need to sit down and do a little deep breathing. And then, I can make a decision I don't want to regret. Like, you don't want me to regret this, right? Yeah.
I think that's what you should start doing. Just tell them everything just like that.
You know what? They're a pretty understanding crowd at toy shows most of the time. I feel like I could get away with it at probably half the booths.
I hope I'm there the first time.
Yeah.
But anyway, since we decided that we were going to build these little armies, you were going to go with Tiger Force and I was going to go with the Televipers. Or not the Televipers, excuse me, Python Patrol. I started looking into the prices of those. And I didn't know what they were. Like I said, they weren't on my radar. I see them at every show I go to, but just, skim past them for other things. And then when I saw the prices on eBay, that blew my mind. You're talking like almost Night Force or not quite Night Force prices, but I mean, they're really getting up there, like $50 a piece for nice complete ones. And I was like, that's too rich for my blood. But I picked up this guy, he wasn't complete. Originally, when I got him, I thought he was complete, but he wasn't. When I got him back and I was checking him out on his actual rifle, underneath the handle or the grip, there's a little nipple that the tube plugs into, and that's broken off. But it did come with the tube, and I got to hunt down the backpack. But for what I paid for him, I'm extremely happy with him. I mean, he's in almost perfect condition. When I say almost, I mean I can't find anything wrong with him. I mean, that's how happy I am with him. The other thing is his nose is always worn on the Televipers, and his is fine. So, and
that's even with the original Televipers.
Yeah, definitely.
It just seems like both molds, both paint schemes, notorious to rub there.
Then I picked up Blaster from Battle Force 2000. And I know you're not a fan of the Battle Force 2000 guys, but I absolutely love them.
Yeah, I don't get them. I don't connect with them, and they're just kind of weird and don't fit with the other down-to-earth military.
They don't fit at all. But I think it's the card art that I love. I enjoy the fact that they were trying to do something a little different. And the technology obviously just wasn't up to the design. Because if they could have produced those figures that are on the card art, those would have been amazing. And I really enjoy the file cards too, because that's when Larry was still writing them.
I've never read one.
Oh, you got to check it out. Get on 3D Joe's and check them out. They're worth it. This is what's cool about Battle Force 2002. There's only like me and 7 other guys in the country that obviously like them, because everywhere you go, you can pick up a mint for $10. It's just finding, a complete one. That's what's just difficult. So Blaster has that green mask, and I never seen it with them before. So finally ran across him with it, wasn't walking out without him. Did we have him as a kid?
I don't have any memories of him.
I wish we would have, though.
I don't really even remember them in the stores too much.
Oh, see, I do. I remember the 2-packs and just thinking that was the coolest thing in the world when we would go to Ames. That's the only place I have a memory of them.
But yeah, who wouldn't want 2 G.I. Joes, right? Like, you talk your parent into 2 or 1 and you get 2.
But then my big purchase there, I finally got the fridge.
He looked great in the photo.
The first thing I go to every time I see a fridge is I check the belt buckle first, because it's got the chrome, and then on top of that, it's got G.I. Joe stenciled on it. And that is just always worn off. And this one wasn't. So, I mean, I checked over the rest of them. Everything was on point. I mean, just a wonderful figure. I just don't understand who wouldn't love this figure. You know, it was a football player that was a G.I. Joe. We had a wrestler and a football player that were both actual people. They have wonderful cartoons, or not cartoons, excuse me. Well, they were cartoons, the cartoon commercials.
Oh, yeah, really good.
So we didn't have the fridge as a kid, did we? I don't remember him. I do remember him on the boxes, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I remember seeing the pamphlets and the mail away stuff. I don't ever remember playing with one or even seeing one as a kid. Now, he's like physically bigger than the other ones, right? Like he's more the size of like Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, he's definitely bigger. He's definitely wider too, because I changed his O-ring today, and you could just tell just doing that, like how much physically bigger he is than the rest of them.
Yeah, that's kind of how he's always looked. I wonder how he'd fit like in vehicles and things.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So of the five you picked up, that's your favorite?
Oh, without a doubt. Thing was, there was a bunch there. A bunch. And I just had this huge pile, right, of like, these are the ones I'm taking home. And then I had to dwindle it down. And then it got to these 5, and I was like, well, there's no more dwindling. I'm taking them all.
So what'd you pass on?
I passed on so many, I really don't remember. Well, one of the big things I passed on was the Ertl Wrangler Cowboys from '83. They had 3 of them in on card.
Nice.
And they were only asking $20 for them. And I don't really know what they go for, but on card, that seemed like a pretty good price to me. But, you know, I couldn't pass up these guys over that.
Well, and you know, you said something that's kind of interesting. You're like, I don't know what they go for, but like, how many times does it almost feel like when you're collecting anything, right? Like, it so much has more to do with how you value something, right? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, kind of what they're going. I mean, you have to kind of consider that on some level, but that's really for the dealer as to what they're going for. It's, you know, when you're buying something, it's like, what do you value? What do you value it at?
Yeah, you're 100% right. And $20, I definitely valued them at that. It was just, I valued these other items more.
Right.
I mean, especially the fridge, because I've seen them like this sealed in the bag, but we've been doing this. We looked at a lot of fridges down at Joe Fest, and I just didn't see any, you know what I mean, with the paint perfect, and I wasn't going to pass it up. But a lot of times they'll have like the overextended hand, and you're really the stretched thumb, because that weapon is so big. Why they did that, I don't know. They could have just shrunk that down a little bit. It would have fit in there perfectly. But his, I don't think has ever held it. Like, I mean, they look brand new. They're real tight, so which is awesome, and a little bit of a curse now, because now I can't display him with holding it, but that'll be all right.
Right.
You can't have it both ways. But then a few days later, I am headed to Brevard, North Carolina. And on my way, I stopped in Cherrysville, North Carolina at Retro Toys and Collectible. And it's just a little shop. I looked it up on Google Maps beforehand, and I just see this like bright pink building. And it says something about medical, and I'm just like, well, that is definitely not it. And I play around on Google Maps some more. And then they got some suites off to the side of it that you couldn't tell from originally. And they're just tucked back in there in one of those. The owner, Cotton, a real good guy. You'll see the selection. It's on our Twitter and Instagram, probably Facebook too. So it's definitely a place I would go back to. And I picked up another Airborne Sky Patrol. It had all the accessories except for the parachute for a real good price.
You picked up another Airborne?
Yeah, listen, it was a good deal, and I couldn't pass it up. And I really love that rifle, because I think I'm going to display all my Sky Patrol with that rifle. I don't know. It's just such a cool figure.
That's like your third one.
I know. I'm gonna sell them or do something if you don't want them. I can't pass them up. Yeah, it was a great deal.
That's what drives up the price, is when people start army building Sky Patrol. Like,
I am part of the problem. I know. Talking to you is like talking to my wife. But anyway, Cotton was a good guy. So all of his Joes are behind the counter, and he's got them on pegs, and he would just take them off one peg at a time. everything and just let me go through them, hand them back. He was extremely patient with me. Plus, in the beginning, we had went through like 3 or 4 pegs. And I mean, that was a good bit of Joes. And there was none of them that I wanted. You know, I just kept pushing them all back. So I started getting to the point where I think this guy's going to get tired of doing business with me, you know? But
well, yeah, because he's not doing business. He's showing you his stuff.
But that was definitely not the case. Super patient guy. And I ended up picking up Airborne and Split Stream from him. So, because, I don't know, just it was the right price, good figure, wasn't on my radar, but definitely when I wanted to the collection, and now he's there. That is definitely a place I want to do business again. He was a good dude. So if you find yourself in Cherryville, definitely make sure you stop by. The other thing is all the places me and Mike talk about, nobody pays us to or anything like that. We're not.
Oh, gosh, no. Nobody would pay us to come.
But if somebody did want to pay us to come, that would be fine.
We would totally pretend like they did. But
yeah, so if you're putting on a toy show and you're looking for 2 schmucks to show up, spend their money, and then talk about it, we're your guys.
Yeah, we'll do the show. It'll probably be like 9 months later, right?
Yeah, we're always behind. Except for this one.
Yeah, this one we were doing pretty good.
Anyway, right after that, I had another week down here in North Carolina, but it was my wife's birthday, so I went home for the weekend. And then swing back down here. I can't go past Lexington again. Or not really past it, because it was like an hour out of my way, but come in the area with not going back down to Blake's Toy Chest. I just had to go back for that Ertl Cowboy. He had 3 of them. They were a good price. So I was going down to pick up all 3, but I ended up only picking up the 1. So the other 2 had white hats, and just because of age, they started to turn yellow. So I passed on those. And not that they were yellowing real bad, but I just didn't want to complete the collection that quickly. You know what I mean? Like, that's half the fun.
Right.
Is tracking this stuff down. So I picked up him, and I picked up another Laser Viper without any accessories at all. So, but he was just in perfect condition. They were only asking a few bucks for him. So, and in my mind, the perfect army builder is the Laser Viper.
Oh, super cool, but just more incomplete figures.
Yeah, this isn't going to end. I think that's one of the reasons I'm okay with it now. As I talked about with you at this, what show was it? Maybe on the way back from the Hershey show? Because we knocked out I've knocked out 2 of my top 10 figures. And that made me realize, there's only so many. And this is going to come to an end one day. So these little things deciding to pick up the Python Patrol now and adding little Laser Vipers, it just keeps adding to the joy of collecting and hunting and doing all of this.
No, it does. We're in it for the long game, but I don't think we're even close to running out. But there's nothing. Here's my thing with the incomplete guys. There's nothing more infuriating, like as a collector, when you just want this little binoculars or gun or helmet or visor, whatever. And you go to these vendors and you're like, yeah, here's the bag, look through it. And you look through 19 bags and you think to yourself, I've seen everything they made from 82 to 90 except the one piece that I need. You know, it's like it almost hurts your head when you're done looking.
We just gotta start buying the whole bag, Mike. Well, that's it, folks. I just lost Mike on Skype, so that's the end of the show. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. Do you realize this is 2 toy shows in a row that have started out not the best for you?
I know. I need to probably get on some sort of prescription medication before I walk into these things so that I can calm my anxiety. And the thing is, they start so early in the morning, you can't even stop and have a beer without people giving you the side eye.